All right, welcome back. And of course, we have a very exciting match coming to you next. This is one of the matches that I was waiting for this weekend, and I'm glad that they are facing off this early into the tournament. Of course, that is going to be Method versus Tempo Storm. Let's take a look at Group A so we can see how each of these teams got to this most important match. Of course, Method defeating Hype 2-0, and then Tempo Storm defeating Follow Esports, and that was such a close match. I felt like Follow Esports could have taken that, and of course winning 2-1 over them. So now it's going to be Method versus Tempo Storm at the top of Group A, and of course we just watched Hype lose to Follow Esports.com, which is down to which was 2-0, and so now Follow Esports is going to be waiting for the loser of this match to see if they can continue on in their journey to BlizzCon.
Yep, Follow Esports are against the ropes. But now moving into Group B, we've seen Juveniles take a 2-0 and a commanding lead over Luminosity. And we can see that that's going to be another series further in the day, Juveniles versus Dream Deferred, whereas Dream Deferred taking a 2-0 over Santos Dexterity, then Luminosity taking a 2-0 over Santos Dexterity. Although I don't think the scores really represent the effort put forward here. Santos Dexterity played excellently in that last series. Myself playing a lot of Turbo, I think that both sides played relatively close. A little bit of a slow reaction by Santos Dexterity towards the end of that last game ended up costing them. But now that we've got to look at the bracket, we're just going to take a moment to look at the rules once again. Behel, how about you run us through that?
Yeah, again, this is a 3v3 World of Warcraft Arena tournament, and we are actually allowing players to have that fourth player, which has played into a lot of matches so far. Going into it, we kind of had a feeling that a lot of the RMDs, would be sticking to their guns, or their Turbo Cleaves will be sticking to their guns. But we've seen a lot of the fourth man actually come in play so far. And of course that is going to be playing on a Grand Arena first every single time, and it's double blind pick going into that. So both team captains have to secure what comp they're playing without knowing what the enemy team is playing. And of course after a Grand Arena, the losing team on each map so far gets to choose the next map, then the winning team gets to select their comp. The losing team will then know the winner's comp and gets to choose based on that. So a little bit of an advantage going into the second round for the losing team, but of course they are down 0-1 at that point.
Yeah, and we can't forget about the prizes. There is a lot of money on the line. First place is a big whopping $50,000. Second place is a big $20,000. And then third, $10,000. Fourth, $8,000. Fifth and sixth, $4,000. And seventh and eighth, which we have just determined between Santos Dexterity and Hype, down at $2,000. But I'm excited to get into this first quarterfinal between Method and Tempo Storm. They're going to be bringing the heat. They have a lot of compositions available, and we can see that the teams have actually locked in their compositions.
They have.
Method is going to be leading with that Mage Lock Shaman composition, and Tempo Storm with their Rogue Mage Restoration Druid composition. Who do you think is going to come ahead?
I don't know, but this would be a good time if you are following along to use that hashtag WoW Esports tag so you can make your prediction, and that's what I want to see. If you guys think Method are going to take it, please tweet that out and let everyone know that you guys are big Method fans, or Tempo Storm. These are two huge teams in World of Warcraft right now. You can follow along on Facebook at /Warcraft, and then on Twitter at Warcraft, YouTube /Warcraft, and of course Twitch /Warcraft. So it's great to see both of these really high, well-known teams fighting off at this point.
Yeah, and if you guys are interested in buying any Blizzard gear, there is a promo code available right now. It is WoW RTB15, and that will get you a 10% discount on everything in the Blizzard gear store right now. So take the time if you want to purchase some goodies before BlizzCon, show them off to your friends. This is a perfect opportunity, and I believe that one of the teams is ready, so we're still waiting for Tempo Storm. Both these teams are Titans. Both of them were expected to make it through, but only one can make it past this point.
Yeah, because then the team that loses will have to play against Follow Esports, and that is going to be a rough road to the finals at that point. All right, so let's take a look at the teams and see how they're faring. And of course, Chanimals, like he was saying in the interview, there might be a chance that he will be playing, and this is what he was talking about right here. I know that this team has played lots and lots of Mage Lock Shaman at this point, so it'll be great to see. It'll be great to see, how Chanimals deals with this.
Yeah, definitely, and it's good to see him play. He is the team captain. He's kind of the rock of his team in terms of experience. He's been to 2 LAN events. I believe this is his 3rd, so he's got a lot of experience under his belt. They're going to be leading with a composition that they have practiced quite a lot. I'm interested to see if they're going to change it later on, but these are the compositions that they have locked in for now. And Affliction, Mage, Restoration Shaman are going to be looking to crowd control the opposing team, which are now on our screen. We can see Starship, the closest player, Jamili, the second next to him, Peekaboo on the back there, picking it up on the Rogue, and they're going to be playing the Rogue Mage Restoration Druid comp, and we've been talking about it all day. They're going to be looking for 3v1, 3v0 situations in the best of situations, so we're going to be looking for them to set up the crowd control. Peekaboo is definitely the initiation. Jamili and Starship are the follow-up, and so far they've been extraordinary with their play, taking down Follow Esports, which also played extraordinary, so they've got a chance here to progress into the best of 4 tomorrow. And if they lose here, they do have a second chance, but it's not likely that they want to.
No, not at all. And this would be a great ride through the upper brackets if they can win this. But of course, Method is going to be the team that can stop them at this point. Now, MLS versus RMD, you know, that it seems like on paper, like a pretty balance between the two. I know RMD is going to be able to rush down with the triple CC, like we were saying. What are some of the key points to watch for in this matchup?
You need to look for the Rogue Mage Druid's defensive capability. We all know that Jamili, Peekaboo, and Starship are great offensive players, but in this certain matchup, you need to realize when the kill is lost, pull back, retreat, and try and drag the Mage Lock Shaman into the open and expose them positionally to advantage yourself later on. So that you're going to see them go in for the deep freeze, the off cheap shot, into a clone, into a poly, cross the scene, all 3 players. They're going to try and execute a kill, force a cooldown, and then once they've got that cooldown, they need to assess the situation. Can we push through this? No? Okay, we need to retreat now because you can't afford to rot down to Chanimal's pressure and the potential crowd control that could ensue onto Starship with him positioning aggressively.
All right, these teams are just about ready, getting the last minute preparations up. We want to make sure that both teams have enough time to get all set up, since they have been moving around a lot today. You know, we bring these players into the soundproof booths. You know, we're piping in that white noise to make sure that the teams can't hear us, can't hear the other teams, and so you know, we've been swapping all the teams around. Of course, Tempo Storm and Method have both played today so far, so they are. It seems like they're getting more and more comfortable with these matches.
Yeah, definitely. Throughout the day, these teams have been improving more and more, and I think this is going to be one of the highlighted series of the tournament. And, you know, it's kind of unfortunate that it's only a best of 3. I would have liked to see a best of 5 between these teams, and maybe we will get to see that tomorrow. We're going to have to find out, but only one of these teams can advance for now. It looks like we're looking into a bit of a delay here, so we're going to take the time, just look at some tweets here and check out the teams as they're getting prepared, and we can imagine that the pressure is mounting. These teams want to take this, and the first series is very important when both teams have so many composition options.
It is, and especially where they're both going with arguably their best comps, I would say. I think Chanimals has just, you know, being their team captain, he has the experience. I think it was a good choice to go MLS against them.
Yeah, definitely. Sticking to your guns, staying on your main classes. There's going to be no alts in this game, in fact, so everyone is playing their mains. Gorecki obviously has a main of everything, so as I say that, I say it lightly, but he is going to be backing him up on Restoration Shaman. Maybe that's something they look to exploit. Now, he is very expertised on multiple classes, but that could be a weak link. Maybe they go after him a little bit. We saw Follow Esports play an excellent series earlier, but it's just so many times where you have to predict the play, get the link down, and you just eventually can't do it every single time.
Yeah.
And if the game extends like that, you just have to be capable of it. So we have to see if Gorecki can do that or if he'll crack under the pressure.
All right, and such an important match for both of these teams because the loser, again, is going to be playing against Follow Esports, and when we saw the matches against Tempo Storm, they were extremely close. So you can see Jamili has his game face on. He is ready.
That is the face of a winner right there.
It is.
That is look at me, Mom, I'm on TV face right there.
It is. Sending out secret communication to his Twitch followers right there. If you guys can read lips, please let me know via Twitter what he just said.
And we can see Chanimals, he's very focused right now, taking this very seriously, and he wants to progress in this tournament. He feels that his team earned it and deserves it, rightfully so, with their experience and their skill and their showing on the ladder and through the qualifiers, making it through the first cup. First time is all they needed. I wonder if it's going to be the same here.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one of the matches that I could have, on paper, looking at the tournament, knowing that these guys probably would be facing off, you know, depending on if Follow Esports were able to knock out a Tempo Storm or not. This is one of the matchups that I would expect could be our finals. these two guys. So I think it's great that this early into the tournament we have one of these like huge grudge match. Like this is one where a lot of people from home are passionately rooting for either Method or Tempo Storm at this point because of so many well-known players on both of these teams. So it's great to see both teams facing off this early.
Yeah, I would expect Method to be playing much more textbook. I don't think they're going to take a lot of reckless plays. I think it's really up to the Rogue Mage Druid to do that. And Peekaboo, one of the flashiest rogues that we've seen, is going to be looking to set up a lot of swaps like that. He's going to be backing up Jamili. And like I said, it's all about Peekaboo's setup for Jamili and Starship to react. But it looks like we have a queue. We can jump into the games because we know we're all here for them games.
All right, just waiting for the teams to show up. There they go. All right. Okay, so the big thing about this matchup is we're actually seeing the players, even the Tempo Storm players, they did switch up their races, I do believe, because their characters are named a little bit different. Once you guys get into the match, you'll be able to tell. But of course, on your right is going to be Method playing that Magelock Shaman. And the big thing to watch is going to be Chanimals in this matchup because he hasn't played yet today. We know he's a great Warlock, but it seemed like when we talked to all the players that they felt that the Warlocks were just going to be sitting on the bench this entire tournament. And being able to pull a Warlock out, even though everyone was saying that they didn't have a chance, it's a ballsy move. Like they just have to go for it, and I'm glad that they are.
Yeah, definitely. We're just going to do a quick reset. One of the teams needs a moment here. But interestingly enough, we can point out both teams are going to be playing Horde, so they want to take advantage of the stun reduction that the Orc racial brings. Now, like I said, Peekaboo is all the setup. He's using stuns to do that. The same is so for Method. They have Shadow Fury and Deep Freeze, so reducing those stuns reduces the time that the enemy team has to crowd control the opposing team. So I like that interesting adaptation from both sides.
All right, and since the racials were buffed and stuff, we've seen actually a lot of players on live already start to transfer over to Horde. We saw a few streamers have already decided, all right, I'm going to leave all my Alliance friends behind. You can come join me if you want, kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see towards the end of this season how that actually ends up playing out. But because we are playing on a tournament realm with all these guys, they can create as many characters as they want, both Horde and Alliance, multiple of one faction if they need. Like on Horde, you have a lot of different options. You can play Troll for the speed and the snare reduction. You can play Orc for the stun reduction. You can always throw in Blood Elf for the silence. So that you have a lot of options.
Yeah. And I really expect that Method is going to be going after Jamili. He's going to be the most forward player. He needs to get crowd control on Gorecki if they want to pressure. And what's interesting here is going to be the target selection for Tempo Storm. It's not something that I can easily predict. I would expect the safe strategy is to go after Chanimals, prevent his Warlock damage, survive the Dark Souls, drag it out, see what kind of trinkets you get, then assess the situation afterwards.
Yeah, and of course, Gorecki is going to be playing that double Dispel Glyph, which is huge in this matchup against those polymorphs, so that's really important. Other than that, all players are pretty much playing the standard glyphs and talents that we would expect out of this matchup. So let's see out of the gate how Method can handle this. This is one of those matches that could definitely go on a while if Method wants to take it into the late game.
Yeah, both these teams are going to need a good defense if they want to win here. We see them moving forward. They're not going to go for the stab, instead dropping that Pet Nova. We're going to see the target selection here. Garrote Silence onto Rosita, Deep Freeze onto Gorecki. Jamili getting Shadow Fury shut down on that Polymorph, not able to chain the CC onto Gorecki. Now line of sight and getting the Riptides up. Death from above onto Rosita, trying to trade a little bit early burst. Now going for the Shadow Dance, trying to give him right here, down to 40%. Gorecki caught into a full blind on his Ascendance, holding his trinket here. They might have to trade the Ice Block. We now see the Dark Soul coming out from Chanimals. Good Nerve Strike application from Peekaboo to reduce that damage coming out from Chanimals' Dark Soul. Rosita dipping low, down to 50%. The Smoke Bomb comes down, but at the same time, Peekaboo is down at 35%. Starship has a lot of work ahead of him as he pops that Nature's Vigil, goes for the NS. It doesn't really do too much. Peekaboo's still down at 35%, now stabilizing through the Genesis heals of Starship as we see both teams equalizing.
Yeah, that was pretty scary for Tempo Storm right there, with Peekaboo having to pull way, way far behind, even though Method was not playing that offensively positioning-wise. Now, Peekaboo is going to start right back onto Rosita Jones, who blinks out of the way just a little bit, trying to get some CC on, put himself into position. You can see Starship just constantly switching into bear form to try to stop those incoming polymorphs and doing a great job. The Deep does come out, but he's already in bear form, so there's not going to be any follow-up poly. However, the Fear does land, and now it seems like like they're going to try to keep those CC goings, but he's able to blink out. Now, Jamili taking a lot of damage right there. Got kicked on his poly too, so he's not able to stop anything from Gorecki, who isn't that stunned. But look at the damage onto Rosita Jones having to blink back. And, with the deep freeze onto Gorecki on top of that too, with the nerve strike, this is just an immense amount of CC onto the healer.
Yeah, Rosita using that gateway effectively, able to hold on to his ice block as Gorecki connects a big healing surge. Now going for a lava burst here, trying to trade out some damage. Deep freeze onto Starship. They're making a druid swap. A bit of an unexpected swap. Caught in the Shadow Fury, getting 100 O'd through Barskin, no trinket. And that was so unexpected. I can see the startled face right next to me of Vino, catching us all off guard. I don't think Starship saw that one coming for a mile.
That was good. And I mean, even if you look at the scoreboard, and the highest damage done, Rosita Jones had a 54k Ice Nova with a 56k Haunt from Chanimals, and even the Lava Burst coming in. So it wasn't anything crazy numbers. Like Jamili even had a 77k Ice Nova. So looking at the damage-wise, it was just laying everything on to Starship and capitalizing on that. Let's go ahead and talk to Bajira and see what happened on his end.
Wow, Method versus Tempo Storm. Like Vihel was saying, this is a matchup that you might expect to see in the finals, but we get the exquisite treat of seeing these guys square off right now. So, when you think of RMD versus MLS, you tend to think of the burst more coming from the RMD, but the MLS showed they have exactly what it takes to take Tempo Storm down. So I think they definitely caught him a little bit by surprise there. The beginning of the game looked somewhat to be in the favor of Tempo Storm, but by leaving Chanimals alone to cast those Dark Soul dots, things got scary real quick. And this was definitely a back and forth battle, forcing cooldowns, seeing low health bars from both teams. But when it came down to it, a pretty unexpected Druid swap is what ended up scoring Method the win in that match. That was absolutely insane. And you have to wonder, you know, was Starship caught unaware by that? He seemed to have his bark skin up, but it definitely wasn't quite enough. And is that the kind of thing that he'll be caught off guard twice by? We'll have to see in the next game if they make some adjustments. Either way, let's send it back to the casters. Cannot wait to get into game 2.
All right, thank you, Bajira. And what we like to see out of these teams is when they're super confident, even when losing. We immediately had the map choice coming out from Tempo Storm, and they chose Tolvaron Arena. And then both teams locked in their comps immediately. And it looks like there's no changes from both teams, so they are going to be queuing back up in just a second. But I really like that when there's no, take 5 minutes and talk about exactly what happened in that last match. Starship maybe identified what he could have done better. Maybe, okay, I just have to roll pre-hots on me the whole game and make sure that, I Iron Bark at the second that I see Rosita Jones even looking at me. But they're both teams extremely confident going into this match, and I have a feeling that this didn't throw Tempo Storm off at all.
We can see the mixing it up and strategy is going to pay off for these teams, whichever one can catch the other off guard. Now, typically as a Resto Druid, when you get Deep Freeze, you expect to get polymorphed. You don't expect to die against a Mage Lock Shaman. So you could see that first reaction is gauging it. I wonder through his mind if he's thinking, why did Chanimals fully dot me? Is that a mistake? What's going on? And then he kind of went, oh, you're going me, Barskin at 50%, but that wasn't enough. Rosita's trinketed for the kill, saved both Ice Novas specifically for that situation. It was very well set up from Team Method. Tempo Storm now realizing that strategy is available are going to have to adapt. And I wonder if that's going to make them play a little bit more slow, which is not in their favor. They want Starship up there getting clones, and if he's not able to, they're not going to be able to get a kill.
Yeah, if this put him on tilt and he's not able to push up like he really needs to for this setup, it's not going to look well for Tempo Storm going into this next map because, again, this is a best of 3, and they're down 1-0 already.
Yep, and the next map is going to be Tolvaron Arena, so this is a bit more of a mage-friendly map. Maybe we should go over why. It's a very large map, and what the Rogue Mage Druid is going to look to do is reset quite often. And when Method decides that they want to push in, stop the reset, stop the drinks, stop the restelts, they have to overextend to do it. And when you overextend, that's when Tempo Storm is going to leap on you and attack.
All right, and we're going to get the game going for you guys because I know you at home are really excited for this. Go ahead, use that hashtag WoW Esports and shout out who you think is going to win between Tempo Storm and Method because this is a huge match for both teams. This is a very, very important match. And this is the kind of thing that sets the pace for the rest of the tournament. When you see these two gigantic teams face off against each other and you have a feeling that maybe this team can fight its way back through the lower bracket and face off in the grand finals, that you know, whoever wins this match is going to go into the finals extremely confident if they end up meeting each other again.
Yeah, definitely. You want to win here. You want to just relax, say, we did it, boys. Let's get ready for tomorrow, because if you lose here, you've still got to battle it out. There's still a chance that you could fall out of the tournament. And here we can see Tempo Storm picking that 12-Veron arena. They want the open space. They're looking to exploit the positioning of Method, but Method played a very solid game, a very unexpected swap to Starship, which he's going to be paying a lot more attention to, I think, this time around, as the gates are opening here in 3 more seconds. Let's see how offensively Tempo Storm decides to take the beginning stages, if they run across or if they're going to wait it out. Rosita has that invisibility. He's not even going to go for it, trying to go for some early blizzard pressure to pull them out of stealth. Not finding them. Peekaboo moving forward. Are they going to go for the sap is the question. Starship positioned far back. Looks like they're taking their time and they want to think through their target decision. Rosita blinks out of the cheap shot into a Garrote Silence. Gorecki pre-Windwalk Totem, line of sighting with Chanimals. They do not want to get crowd controlled. Death from above, chunking down Rosita to 40%, 37%. Gorecki getting full clone. Starship pushing up 19, 13%. That's going to be the first ice block so fast out from Method.
That was a good push right there by Tempo Storm, you know, forcing that block from Rosita Jones with the CC on top of Gorecki. And, you know, they used a decent amount of cooldowns, but they didn't even use Shadow Dance during that.
Yeah, definitely, and the Shadow Dance is still available. I wonder if he's going to go with that Hypothermia up. Deep Freeze not available for 3 seconds. They've got to wait for that, but I can appreciate Starship's bravery. Still going for that crowd control that he needs to get, and that clone already got an ice block, so if we can get a couple more, it could spell victory for them. We see Peekaboo getting pressured, and as a melee DPS, he's exposed here. Starship caught into a deep. I wonder if they can make the swap. Nope, it's going to be a full sheep. Smoke Bomb gets dropped onto Rosita with that Garrote Silence. He trinkets it, goes for the Blazing Speed, gets out immediately. Double Shadow Fury out from Chanimals to peel Jamili and Peekaboo's onslaught. But at this point, Peekaboo's been sitting on that Shadow Dance for so long, he's got to find an opportunity to go for it.
He definitely does, because he's not going to force anything out of the enemy team without using it just by himself. Okay, here we go. The Blind and the Shadow Dance is coming out with the Garrote onto Rosita Jones, who has the Hellstone, but his health didn't even move. Kidney Shot, or Cheap Shot comes out with the Kidney onto Gorecki. A lot of damage, as I do believe that was a Link that went down, but it was already killed immediately, as both Chanimals, Gorecki, and Rosita Jones just getting so low on life already in this match.
Yeah, we can see, though, Method have stabilized, and once you've survived your opponent's attack, you go, go, go. They need to chain the CC onto Starship, the Deep Freeze into the Fear. A tiny bit of overlap. I wonder if that's going to cost them it. Chanimals needs to chain this Fear. He tries to go for it. He gets locked out, but Jamili has to block. The Iron Bark overlapped as well. That's a very important cooldown to try and mitigate the incoming pressure slowly from Method's Warlock Chanimals. We see Gorecki in the back stabilizing his team, going for a preemptive healing rain, even that big blue circle on the ground, trying to get whatever healing he can when he does get put into crowd control. Deep Freeze is available for Jamili. I wonder if he's going to play aggressive here. He's still on hypo for a couple more seconds. We see Starship now pushing forward to the center map. They do not want to overextend into Method's clutches, though. They are reluctant. There it goes. Starship blinks in. They fully dot up Starship. I'm curious if they're going to make a swap, but Rosita's the one in trouble. Down at 36% HP. He has to use his second ice block, and Tempo Storm have taken a commanding cooldown lead.
They really have. The second ice block is down. You know, they're going to be able to push with the next Shadow Dance, which is what you should really be watching for. But look at the damage onto Jamili already, as he is going to try to hit some polymorphs, but it's not going to land as Gorecki is out of crowd control and is trying to heal his team up, you know, really using a LOS to his advantage. As you can see, even Chanimals having to pull back, even when he's on the offense with Dark Soul. As you can see, Rosita Jones getting really low. That forces the next Link out, even though there was no crowd control going on.
Yeah, Gorecki wanted to just get that Spirit Link down. He didn't have his trinket available, so he didn't want to risk getting crowd control, but the Deep Freeze is available. Jamili's got to be careful, trading that block at 15%, and Starship is caught into a full Fear. Chanimals and Rosita need to keep the CC chain going. Starship is going to trinket. He needs to get some hots up onto Jamili. Now both mages are out of ice blocks, and I think they're shortly going to be out of time. Gorecki having the advantage that his trinket is shortly coming up, but not for 5 more seconds. Can Rosita Jones stay alive? We see Chanimals in peel mode right now, spamming Fear after Fear. Rosita Jones trying to kite back, building up some icicles as well at the same time, but that Shadow Dance is an explosive start for Peekaboo. Is he going to be able to connect in time? He's actually getting pressured as he overextended there. He had to trade his Cloak of Shadows, and that time to strike, they managed to get Gorecki's trinket, but I think they were looking for the kill.
Yeah, they really were, and for Peekaboo to have to run away during that moment with his Shadow Dance and using that Cloak of Shadow, that was a scary moment for Starship because he was so far away from his rogue.
Yeah, definitely. If you're overextending like that while Starship doesn't have a trinket, he's exposed to the Deep Freeze of Rosita and that polymorph chain that will follow it up. And right now, Tempo Storm, they're looking to go for the offensive play. Gorecki caught in a Deep Freeze. Jamili gets locked on the poly. He's going for the Frost Jaw. He doesn't get it. He grounds it. Nice grounding out from Gorecki. Pops that Aura Mastery. Stabilizes his team. Now making a reversal onto Peekaboo. He's not going to have that Cloak of Shadows for quite some time. I'm curious if he's going to need to retreat here shortly. Polymorphs onto Jamili. Fears now as well. Starship running out of mana. Gorecki running out of mana. We're not even in dampening.
No, or not, there's just so much damage from both teams. The crowd control is impeccable and everywhere. But we haven't seen that like cross CC coming out from Tempo Storm as much as we have in their other matches. We see Peekaboo is just waiting behind the pillar for Rosita Jones to push up. Now look at how far away Rosita Jones is from his healer. He is just having to waddle his way on back to Gorecki. Gorecki standing just at 40 yards right there, which means his links aren't going to be available because he now has one ready. He's just not going to be able to use it without Rosita Jones having to blink backwards.
Yeah, both mages have a block available as we see a CC chain on a Starship. No cloak for 8 more seconds. Peekaboo needs to stay alive. Rosita going in for the kill. He smells blood in the water. Drain Soul is up. They want to end this. Dark Soul is popped down to 60%. Cloak just coming up, but Starship will save him with that Nature Swiftness, now using the cloak as well as Starship goes into that full fear. But a swap over to Jamili. He's got the cold snap available. He needs to pop it down to 20%. He's going to use that ice block and recover. A bit of a close call, but Starship holds onto his trinket. Yeah,
but look at Jamili just going immediately on the offense, not wanting to sit back and hide. But look at how healthy the team of Method is. We see the bash onto Chanimals as followed by a Cyclone, so that's great pressure coming out because the entire team is clean of dots at this point. So this is great that they're choosing to put the CC out onto Chanimals because look, he still hasn't gotten any dots out.
Yeah, and Chanimals needs to get pressure rolling here. Jamili now finally has no blocks. Peekaboo has no cloak. The only cooldown standing between death is Starship's trinket, and he doesn't have very much to pair it with. He's just going to trade his trinket. He gets Shadow Fury'd on it, but Peekaboo is there for the setup with a blind on Gorecki into a full sap. Cheap shot onto Chanimal, into the Frostjaw. They're looking to get this last block from Rosita. He's down to 37%. The Iron Bark used from Starship to push in here and get that block down to 25%. They need to get it. They have to, and they're going to. Now, once again, we're in a situation where Rosita Jones has no blocks. Jamili has no blocks, and Peekaboo has no Cloak of Shadows to reduce the incoming damage on the next attack.
Yeah, but Rosita Jones' Cold Snap is coming up in 25 seconds. It means that Peekaboo needs to make something happen before then. But unfortunately, his Shadow Dance is going to come up after the Cold Snap. So they're just going to force their way on through to Rosita Jones, who has to gate away along with Gorecki. But wow, dropping the link, seeing the mid-air death from above, that was a great play by Gorecki.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Chanimals wasn't in it. They're still getting pressure, but at the same time, Starship is caught in a full fear. Jamili has no blocks left. He needs to go into retreat mode. Starship caught into a stun. Can they chain the CC? No, they can't. Nice kidney shot out from Peekaboo, denying Chanimals on that CC chain for Starship. Now Gorecki trying to recover from the situation. He's got his trinket available, but no Spirit Links, which is his major cooldown as we see the Shadow Dance popped. But like you were saying, Rosita has that block available. Should he use it? Death from above, crits huge, down to 18%. He's going to trade that ice block. Gorecki trying to recover at this point. He has taken a substantial mana lead, and I'm curious if mana is going to play a factor here. Tempo Storm on retreat, maybe even going to try and look for a drink.
The thing is, they need to keep the pressure up if they want to get the mana, if they want to win the mana game, like you're saying, because Starship is down to 17%, and as long as they're staying offensive and they're putting damage out on both Peekaboo and Jamili, Starship isn't going to be able to drink. However, he did get a couple out, but look at this. The pressure they put onto Peekaboo made him stop drinking, which means he got a sip off.
Yeah, and they actually used the deep freeze on Peekaboo, so Starship had to instantly come back from his drink and use that Iron Bark. Nice trade for Rosita. Chanimals securing a full fear onto Starship. 9 more seconds on his trinket. They need to chain this CC a little bit longer, and they don't have the follow-up. Smoke Bomb getting dropped onto Rosita. He's trying to kite back to Gorecki, who has now a Trinket Spirit Link available. Method are taking a commanding position here. 20 more seconds on Jamili's block. Will it come up in time? Deep freeze on Starship's NS. He trinkets it. He gets the NS off just in time as we see a huge turnaround. Peekaboo popping the Shadow Nest. Rosita gets crit huge. Gorecki has to trinket. Drops the Spirit Link to stabilize. Once again, Chanimal's not in it, though. If they can keep this pressure rolling, they might be able to take a kill. Maybe a swap over to Gorecki with that full kidney shot. Death from above comes crashing through. DR deep freeze onto Gorecki. They need to chain the CC. They need to chain it now. Rosita's got nothing left. That's a full poly. How is Rosita going to survive?
Yeah, but he does have the ring down. No, it looks like they weren't able to land it as Rosita is really low. There we have the sap off of the poly. This is not looking good as Rosita Jones is down to 20% health. The Garrote followed by the kidney shot. There's so much CC going out into Gorecki. How is Rosita Jones still alive?
How are you alive right now, Rosita? You're down at 17% with a deep freeze onto Starship. Are they making a turnaround onto Jamili? He's got one block available. He's going to trade it. Unfortunately overlapped with the Iron Bark. Chanimals now popping Dark Soul, trying to rotate some counter pressure over to Peekaboo. They need to chain the CC again onto Starship. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to. Full kidney shot onto Rosita. No block for 50 seconds. Death from above is going to connect huge. Down to 30%. Gorecki trying to get some healing surges out right now. No counterspell available, but that Shadow Dance is going to secure this game. Tempo Storm are tying this series up 1-1.
Wow, what a game. So back and forth the entire game. I really loved that every time one of the mages blocked, the enemy team instantly turned it back around on the enemy mage. It was incredible. What a great game.
Yep, definitely quick reactions from both the teams, knowing when they can survive, even at 15%, knowing that the other team has run out of damage and run out of steam. An excellent series so far between these teams, Tempo Storm and Method. Now let's hear what Bajira has to say.
We've seen some good games today, but that has got to be, in my opinion, the game of the day. You know, I'm sitting over here, supposed to be performing professional analyst duties, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So, and like Vihel mentioned, every time they force a defensive cooldown out of the mage, out of any mage on either team, the enemy team, they pushed back. They popped cooldowns. Every time they needed to peel, there was actually peeling with damage from Chanimal with Dark Soul. And then we saw an absolutely insane CC chain here at the end. So Gorecki lands into a full polymorph. Peekaboo vanished, saps that half. And then after this, he's able to garrote at the end of the vanish. And we're all like, how is he still alive here? Into a super DR'd 1/4 kidney. And the damage keeps rolling at this point. This is the very end of the match. Double Ice Nova. We've even seen Moonfires coming in there. And at the end of it all, you know, the epic CC chains from the RMD, you know, they finally are able to score the kill on Rosita. But that was an insane game. That right there is a reason, if nothing else, to get excited for a WoW Esports. I cannot wait to see Game 3. Let's get right to it. Back to the casters.
All right, thank you, Bajira. Like he said, what a game that was.
That was insane.
That was such a great game, and this is just the winner's side of Group A, and that's it. We have so many more awesome games this weekend, but this one so far has been the best, in my opinion, like Bajira was saying.
Definitely one of the highlighted ones. Tempo Storm have been giving a good showing throughout this tournament, and Method, they need to find a way to adapt. Now, they've got 4 players on their roster. They've got multiple classes available as well. I wonder if they're going to make any changes, but I don't think they are. Both teams locking in right away. You can see they're ready to go. They're raring to get into this final game, this last game of the best of 3 format. The winner of this will progress to tomorrow, where the best 4 teams will battle it out for the final spots.
Which means they are dangerously close to BlizzCon if they can win this game. And of course, it is going to be on Blades Edge Arena. First time we've seen it this tournament, I do believe, as we are going to have a slight advantage for the Warlock on this map. However, when you're playing against a rogue that can just constantly vanish and shadow step and everything, it's crazy on this map, especially a good one like Peekaboo.
Yeah, it's interesting that they went for Blades Edge Arena. I mean, they're not pressuring Chanimals. He's not going to be able to take advantage of it in that sense. At the same time, though, Blades Edge Arena is a very volatile map in terms of positioning. So we saw in Tolvaron Arena, they were trying to drag Rosita and Chanimals into the open. They were finally able to find a point of exposure. But here now on Blades Edge Arena, a potential swap to Chanimals is out of the question. And I think they're looking to try and out-position Tempo Storm.
Yeah, which that might be the map that they can do it on. Let's see if I can get, all right, let's see. There we go. So we're in the game right now. It is going to be Tempo Storm on your left with Method on the right as the game is about to start. And let's see what's going on as right out of the start, we do have Chanimals is going to try to get his gateway down. He does like the bottom to mid pillar connection right there with it. And of course, that is Starship. That is going to be not on the unit frames, but you can see him, his unit frame, or his nameplate. So just watch for that during this match, as both Jamili and Peekaboo just kind of hiding out, waiting a little bit. They know that Rosita Jones is going to be trying to get them out with that Blizzard. Doesn't able to, as they're going to open up onto Chanimals, as there's a lot of CC coming out already. Gorecki in the deep freeze with the bash onto Chanimals, and who's going to trinket it instantly because he does have that Dark Soul running and he wants to get as much use from that as possible.
Yeah, we saw the deep freeze out onto Starship, but Tempo Storm was able to deny that incoming polymorph. He pre-Iron Barks the Fear. Well played from Starship early on, keeping his team really stable through that first Dark Soul out from Chanimals. Now we see the full blind onto Gorecki. Ice Lance is connecting onto Rosita. He's desperately spamming that spell steal button, trying to steal whatever healing he can from the other team. Gorecki trading that Spirit Link, efficiently trading there, not going to be trinketing any CC. Ascendance has already been used as well. We see Chanimals caught into a kidney shot. What's going to follow that up? It doesn't look like they have anything just yet. Peekaboo moving forward here, trying to just attack whatever he can without overextending here. He does not have Cloak for 44 remaining seconds.
And you can see Chanimals trying to walk his way on over to try to get some fears onto Starship, who's going to try to go into bear form before the fear lands because he knows a poly would definitely follow that. But they're going to just do a lot of damage to Peekaboo to try to force him away. But look at him just march on through. Actually, there they go. This is what they wanted to do. He's going to attack the Warlock Pet because he doesn't have any other good target at this point, taking a bit of damage right there. Of course, Jamili's trinket is down, but Peekaboo still has his.
Yeah, and he's going to want to hold on to it with that cloak. He can pair it up, but he's going for the kidney shot. Shadow Dance, Smoke Bomb onto Rosita, caught in the center of the bridge. Gorecki trying to position towards him to heal him. He might have to trade an Ice Block here. Nice Shadow Fury out from Chanimals, peeling Peekaboo and Jamili will allow him to hold on to it for a few more seconds as we see the Deep Freeze onto Gorecki. Jamili getting locked on that Polymorph. Well done by Rosita to interrupt that Polymorph coming out from Jamili. We now see the Iron Bark fading. He's still down to half HP. Starship is having a hard time recovering Jamili's HP right now, still at 50%, trying to spam some Genesis heals to stabilize him. Method are looking like they're in a good position here, but nothing too major has happened.
Yeah, and that was a Nature Swiftness forced out of Starship just a little while ago, so he was able to heal through this damage even... Whoa, wow. And just as I say that, you see Peekaboo really forcing that damage because that didn't even include a Shadow Dance in that play right there.
Yeah, that's a scary moment, and Shadow Dance is coming up in 10 seconds. So they're going to deep up Peekaboo in the backline with a Shadow Fury onto Starship. They chain it into the Fear. This could be his trinket. Peekaboo trading that Cloak of Shadows smartly here to reduce that incoming magic damage from both of these wizards. We can see Chanimals position more aggressively. Peekaboo instantly swapping over, always using that kidney shot onto Chanimals, trying to get whatever advantage he can with crowd control as the Shadow Dance gets popped. Big damage coming through. Hypo is still up for one more second, down at 30%. He does not want to trade his second Ice Block this early in the game. We see Jamili just going Ice Lance after Ice Lance onto Rosita at the moment. Now, having survived, Chanimals pops the Dark Soul, another Deep Freeze onto Peekaboo. He's just going to trinket it. He wants to keep the aggression rolling here. Gorecki needs to stabilize Rosita. He's still down to 30% HP. Jamili getting pre-Iron Bark. They want to keep him offensive. They want to keep him on top of Rosita.
All right, now Peekaboo is trying to get over to Gorecki for the blind, and he does land it as Gorecki is just going to sit through it, which is really great right now because both Chanimals and Rosita Jones are perfectly healthy at this point, as we do have Jamili who is going to blink in and try to get the poly, and he does get it on Peekaboo, but that does break early. And so with Jamili down to half and with Rosita Jones just trying to crowd control Peekaboo, it's really shutting him down as they hit the Fear next onto him also. So it looks like they still want to hit Jamili as much as possible. Whoa. And look at that burst damage just coming out from the team of the MLS. Yeah, that's going to be the first block out from Jamili, now tied on Ice Blocks between Tempo Storm and Method. Here comes the setup. Cheap shots on everyone. They're trying to force the second Ice Block, but Gorecki says no. They interrupt the incoming CC. He's going to trade that Spirit Link. Still has one more available, and his Trinket. Method are looking very good here in game number 3 thus far, but Rosita is down to 30%. How are they going to deal with this pressure and deal with this situation? Gorecki trying to pick him back up, gets that Earth Shield back up. He is going to receive a huge healing surge and stabilize almost instantly. Now we see some defensive polymorphs onto Peekaboo, trying to exploit that melee DPS positioning as they make a setup onto Jamili. Starship caught into a Deep Freeze, trying to chain that. Chanimals there with the follow-up Fear, forcing the Trinket out from Starship. That Iron Bark is not going to be enough. He needs to start spamming some rejuice out, stabilize Jamili, and he has done so now. Gorecki's mana down to 70, Starship down to 60, and I think we're going to see a very long game from here. Yeah, Jamili building those icicles, just frost bolting into his target right now. Wasn't doing a lot of damage. Peekaboo is kind of by himself standing on top of Gorecki. Gets that kidney out, followed by the growth. Here's a triple CC. Instantly forces the Ice Block. They knew that this was coming because Gorecki wanted to hold on to that Trinket. Yeah, and they tried to rotate the pressure onto Jamili. They just weren't able to. Peekaboo's always there to shut it down. As we see the Deep Freeze onto Starship, they land the Ring of Frost. This could be the second Ice Block out from Jamili. He blinks away. He's trying to kite away. Ice Nova connects out from Rosita. He smells blood in the water, and that's going to be the Ice Block out from Starship. The Nature Swiftness used it as well, but he cancels it immediately, going in onto Rosita Jones. Caught in a kidney shot. Full blind onto Gorecki. He's got Trinket available. He trinkets out of the blind into a cheap shot. Rosita doesn't have a block for one more second. Cold Snap coming up in the nick of time. They drop the Smoke Bomb. They're trying to get the block, and they're going to force it out. But Rosita Jones was 1 second away from death. Wow, with that bomb on top too, Gorecki is able to heal him up, but Jamili is probably going to be the target they're going to hit, as Chanimals is trying to keep Peekaboo into combat so he doesn't get the re-stealth off, as Peekaboo is going to hide below, gets the stealth off. Let's see what he can do with it. Oh, as a great job of Rosita Jones breaking him out with Cone of Cold, as it's going to force Peekaboo to run. Now this is interesting. This is with Starship at around 50% mana right now. Gorecki does have the lead mana-wise. However, we've seen a lot of back and forth with the blocks from both mages. Of course, Jamili having to block real recently too, which means he's not going to have another block for about 38 seconds for the cooldown of that Cold Snap. Yeah, but they're using the Deep Freeze on the Peekaboo once again. I think that's the third all game. Nice reaction out from Starship. We see Method taking a different strategy here, triple dotting Tempo Storm, and I wonder if they're going to try and rot them down. Both teams are running on fumes in terms of cooldowns right now. Rosita getting pressured, actually goes for an invisibility, but Peekaboo's going to find him. Here comes the Shadow Dance out from him. Death from above, trying to finish the game. Rosita gates away on that Death from above, trying to kite this out. Starship going for a clone, trying to get the offensive clone, but
Chanimals immediately locking it out. Now a half sheep onto Starship. They need to chain this CC if they want to take Jamili down. His block is not available for 2 more seconds. Coming up now in 1 second. Starship, though, is no longer crowd controlled, choosing to use his trinket to hold on Jamili's last block.
Yeah, and that deep freeze forced a trinket, and that was a great play by Method right now. They just need to continue. It seems like they're slowly dismantling the defensive cooldowns of Tempo Storm. They just need to keep it up.
Yeah, definitely. You can see Starship now moving towards this top of the bridge. Maybe going to be looking for some Cyclones here. Goreki's Trinket's coming up in 10 seconds. Tempo Storm needs to do something now. We see Death from above coming through onto Rosita. Where's the crowd control to follow it up? Frozen Orb is available. Shadow Dance is coming up. They're going for the kill onto Rosita Jones. Goreki's in a good position. Drops that Spirit Link preemptively as we see Jamili caught into a Fear. Starship caught into a Sheep. Good cross CC out from Method. Peekaboo is completely isolated. Trades that Cloak of Shadows to reduce all that magic damage coming onto him.
All right, now Rosita Jones blinking that kidney right there and using the last seconds of his Icy Veins to try to get a couple spell steals out right there. As we see a full blind onto Goreki right now with the Garrote onto Rosita Jones. Let's see if they can make something happen with this as the blind is about to fade right now with the cheap shot. Following it, Rosita just taking so much damage. The Link barely sneaking its way in right there, but look at the life of Method. They are not out of the woods just quite yet.
Yeah, Ascendance has to be used from Goreki. A great cooldown to top his entire team here. Jamili has one more block available, but Starship has no trinket. Method have one more chance to strike here with Dampening stacking ominously in Tempo Storm's favor. But Rosita Jones has some fortunate that his ice block is coming up in about 12 seconds. They have 10 seconds to execute a kill on Rosita right now. Goreki caught into a deep. Good Fear to shut down Jamili CC onto Goreki. They're not going to have to trade that ice block in this setup attempt. A Haunt now onto Jamili. Icicles flying through as well. A nice Capacitor Totem onto Peekaboo. Just going to be mitigating some combo point generation there. Lava Burst being tossed out as well. Rosita's under fire though. Goreki caught into a half stun. The block is available. He cold snaps for it. He's holding on to it. He's trying to go aggressive here. It might backfire. He's down at 30%. Goreki not crowd control, trying to heal through it, trying to hold on to this ice block. Down to 6%.
Wow.
Has to trade that. Now Goreki caught into a full clone. Tempo Storm are looking to end this game. The block only up for 3 more seconds. They need to chain the CC a little bit longer onto Goreki, but they don't have it. A nice wind shear to interrupt the clone. Now a turnaround onto Jamili. Blocks left and right from Tempo Storm and Method. Now they are running on basically nothing.
They are. It's all going to depend on the healer cooldowns at this point, as it doesn't look like Goreki has a Spirit Link left. But look at Jamili still not being healed quite yet because of that deep lands, followed by a Shadow Fury, followed by a Fear, with Starship having to trinket shortly earlier. But look at the damage onto Rosita Jones. Both mages are in trouble right now.
Yeah, Goreki, though, without that deep freeze for Goreki, he's going to easily top him off. And now we can see Dampening is starting to play a factor. Damage flying out at Peekaboo. He has no Cloak of Shadows. We can see Method applying multiple pressure onto both Jamili and Peekaboo. Ice Nova is coming through. He's desperately spamming that feint. Starship is running on mana fumes right now. Nature Swiftness is about to come up here very shortly. He's at 9% mana, though. How much longer can he deal with this pressure? Chanimals, Unbound Wills, triple Shadow Fury, looking to land a Fear. He chains that onto Starship, who has no trinket. Jamili has no blocks, and Peekaboo has no cloak. There's nothing standing between them and death. Starship desperately trying to get some heals out, and Method kind of dropping the ball. They're not chaining the CC onto Starship. Tempo Storm doing a great job to stabilize throughout.
Yeah, I was really expecting Method to close the game out right there with that CC onto Starship, and but with no defensive cooldowns out from Peekaboo and Jamili. And Jamili, block is actually going to come back up. Whoa, the damage switched onto Chanimals right there, who has to port away and is trying to desperately live with 3% health. The Death from above comes crashing in, and Tempo Storm is going to take this 2-1 over Method. What an incredible series.
Yeah, it definitely was. I don't think Chanimals was expecting the swap, and now we can see Tempo Storm was mixing it up in the final game, letting Chanimals get lulled into a false sense of security, and then in the final moments when they had nothing left, they go right for the jugular and take him down. Tempo Storm are going to progress to tomorrow's finals.
Yeah.
And we've already got one team locked in for tomorrow.
Yeah, all right. And of course, we do have Bajira, who's going to break down that last series for you. What an incredible match.
Hey guys, we really could not have asked for a better series out of those teams. That was absolutely back and forth and incredibly, incredibly fun to watch. It's really neat to see how that game actually ended there, is because we saw in the game 1, Method made a very surprising swap onto a target we don't normally see, which was the Resto Druid, and this time it was actually Tempo Storm making a swap to the seemingly unsuspecting Chanimals. One of the cool things about this map, and I think one of the reasons why Method chose it, is because, as we heard from Venruki earlier today, it is a lot on the Rogue to set up the CC, and if the Rogue has to waddle all the way across the bridge to set up that CC, it gives the MLS a lot of time to deal with that. Now, unfortunately for Method, it also may be the case that if the Warlock gets caught out all the way across the bridge, it's going to take him a long time as well to waddle all the way across the bridge. And when we hit 33% dampening and a Warlock is by themselves, that Dark Regen is not going to cut it. And with that, Tempo Storm does secure their way back, while continuing on into the tournament. And pretty soon we're actually going to hear from the victorious Tempo Storm. But first, back to the casters.
All right, thank you, Bajira. I did like that we got the player cam right after the game, and you saw the little smirk on Peekaboo's face, because he did that himself. Like, they really baited Chanimals out into walking right into the middle of the bridge, and that was it. They were able to capitalize. I don't even think there was any crowd control onto the Shaman at that point right at the end. It was just pure damage.
They just weren't prepared for it. Dampening was a little bit too high. It does not mean that Method is eliminated. They will still have a second chance to battle it out against Follow Esports. And if you're Follow Esports, fighting this tremendous team is going to be something that you need to think really hard to overcome.
All right, and Bajir, of course, has Tempo Storm to talk to, so let's go on over.
Hey guys, we are here with a very happy, but maybe a little weary Tempo Storm. You guys have been put through the gamut today. You had some long games early on. You had some wait time, and that last series, I know that in the booth, you guys are focused in on the game, but from a viewer's perspective, that was the series of the day, and you guys have a lot to be proud of. So obviously, that first game, you may have been caught a little bit off guard. Tell me about that first game and how you guys managed to bounce back.
So yeah, with that first game, we were definitely caught a little off guard. Starship was, he was trying to push in for a Cyclone, and he just kind of died without cooldowns. It was really unexpected, and we all know that it's possible, but definitely just caught us off guard.
So another thing, we talked about this a little bit earlier. How do you keep your attitude positive when you have a little bit of delays, or when you have a very important first match that ends suddenly and not in your favor? How are you able to keep your morale high?
So yeah, after we lost the first match, we knew it's a fluke. It doesn't really happen that often. We're just trying to keep cool, come back. Because we've played them before, and we've had success against them before. So yeah, I mean, after we died the first game, we just felt like, all right, just stay cool. We'll come back. And
eyes on the prize.
Eyes on the prize.
Eyes on the prize.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so Ja was actually in the booth. So I want to hear that from your perspective. Howard, did you in particular? Because you said in the early game interviews that when you win, it's thanks to you, but also when you lose, you feel like maybe it's your fault. How did you, as the team fault for win and loss, how did you hang in there?
It's not really. Wait, say that again.
So I said that initially you said that you were either to blame for both the team's losses and the victories. So bouncing back from a quick loss, how did you personally deal with that?
No, it's not necessarily my fault if we win or lose. I'm just saying I get a lot of the blame.
Okay.
So of course it's just team effort, but
yeah. So
when everyone plays a huge role, it's really important, especially in a comp like RMD. So.
Oh, absolutely. And so one of the cool things about that series was it was so back and forth.
Oh,
You'd see an ice block out of Rosita, then they'd force an ice block out of you, and it was just an absolute back and forth battle. Yeah. So obviously, the question from me would be, how are you able to stay so focused in a game like that, with everything on the line? What are you doing in this tournament in particular to stay focused and come out victorious?
I just really want to win.
I like that.
That's it.
He just really wants to win.
It.
Hey, and in a tournament like this, that will to win can get you pretty far. We're going to throw it right back to the casters. Congratulations, guys, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you.